And we're back for the, let's see, this is the fourth battle now of the series in the Lithuanian Campaign. Germans have pushed north from Vilkaviskas, and they've reached the small town of Nendriniai. So it's really in the middle of nowhere really. It's just on the road heading north to Kaunas. So there's a bit of wooded terrain around the village. Well, it's not really a village, it's a small series of buildings. And the Germans have got to get past it in order to move further up the road to hit their key target of Kaunas. There'll be a few more battles before they reach that. They've avoided the major town, I can't pronounce it, of Mariupol, because they didn't really want to get involved in the street fighting there. It's not a very German way of doing things. So they pushed north, and hopefully they can get some momentum. Alright, and I'll see you guys in turn 1. Also just mention, goal of the Germans in this one is to break through to the Russian deployment, which you see down there, marked with red dice. They also get bonus points for securing certain spots in the center of the map. Of course, they've got 1 point for owning their deployment, so the winner will be based on whoever controls the most dice. And yeah, this will be a bit like the last match. Alright, thanks guys. Alright guys, so the Russians have been allowed to deploy up to the center line for this one because they're defending the wood. Wood/town. So I'll just run you through what they've got. So in this house, they have a light MG squad. So it's 7 men with 2 light machine guns. In the center, we have a People's Militia squad, so just riflemen basically. We have an A19 howitzer / anti-tank gun in that corner. In that house there, there is a heavy machine gun. And in the far corner, there's an armoured car with a heavy machine gun. So this is what the Germans got to face. The Germans will be coming on from this side, and the Russians will have more forces arriving from that side. So yeah, so it's this takes us into turn 1, and I'll see you guys at the end of next turn. Okay, so it's the end of turn 1. So the Germans have run onto the field. One of the early casualties was the air observer, who ran into the small group of 3 trees there without realizing or remembering that there was a machine gun there, which shot him. Yeah, but the Germans have decided to move into the center wood, see if they can cap that central area and then push forward into the middle. Russians have charged out of the building, taken some shots, killed 2 Germans, which was annoying. They lost 4 men in return, from return 5 from 2 German units that have deployed from the truck and from the board. Unit half track has 2 MMGs. It's just covering the flank there from enemy units. The Russians have dropped an artillery dice. You'll see the big 6 dice there on the woods, so we'll see what happens at the start of this turn. Or next turn, I should say. Let's see, the Russian armoured car with the HMG has moved out and shot at the Stug and put a pin on it. And let's see, otherwise the Russian lines units have moved up. More units have moved into the centre forest and building. So they're going to either maybe counterattack, or depending on what that artillery barrage does, just sit in the forest and fire away. And yeah, and that was the end of turn 1. Oh, and that squad is running up the flank to secure the house. So we'll see. It's going to be a tough one for the Germans. Bit of a shame that I lost my air observer so early in. So yeah, so it's end of turn 1. See you in turn 2. Okay, so we resolved the artillery bombardment, and fortunately for the Germans, a 1 was rolled. So the artillery barrage, which was going to land there, has actually fallen into the Russian woods and has hit all of the units in there. So Lieutenant has suffered a pin, the HMG and the building has suffered 2 pins, Pioneers have suffered 1 pin, and the Commissar's unit was blown up. So that's a bit unpleasant for the Russians. The artillery marker is sitting there, so that will keep on calling in each turn now. So be a bit, a bit of a tricky position to occupy, that would. So we'll see what happens, but it's a good result for the Germans, I think. It's much better than having that artillery falling in the wood and stalling the German advance. So, alrighty, and that takes us into turn 2. Okay, so we've reached the end of turn 2. Germans have pushed into the central forest, wiped out a unit of People's Militia. So there's a lot of gunfire going on in there. People's Militia actually survived quite a while. We took down half the unit, then the other half tried charging the Stug, and then the unit of infantry behind the Stug then took out the People's Militia unit. Bit of shenanigans on the far side. So I've moved my armoured car out, and that's triggered the Russians' ambush order on their AT gun down below. Then withdrew the car using the recce rule, and then moved forward the unit half track, opened fire on the Russians in the open. Squad has then gotten out, so the squad there, Munich. It's taken fire from the other unit in ambush behind the house. 3 men have died, but they've gotten into the wood, and they've taken more shots at those Russians. So 3 of the Russian pioneers, those are, have died. So that's sort of good news. I think I'm a bit outnumbered on that side though. So Germans really got to push through and take these centre 4 points, I think, to win the match, if they're going to. So I've got the back one, I've got the one in the forest, then there are 2 there, and there should be another one there. Don't mind me. Should be another one there. So I need to take those for the at least 4 of these points. So I've got 2, I need another 2 to win the match. Armoured car just on the side has been shooting at the tank and missed. However, the HMG in the building passed its pinning test after the artillery barrage has shot at it, put a pin on it. The officers run away from the artillery zone behind the tank, and this unit of militia has moved up. It's armed with Panzerfaust that they've captured from the Germans, and they're looking to get closer to the tank. Okay, and that's a wrap up of turn 2. Just another short update. So the artillery barrage has rolled in at the start of turn 3 and has inflicted another 2 pins on the HMG squad in the house. So hopefully that means it won't be shooting too much this turn. I really need that tank not to be pinned. But it's a close match so far. Russians still have the bulk of the points, and we'll see what happens in the next few turns. This takes us through to the end of turn 3. So the Russian armoured car has moved up, has put another pin on the Stug. Russian anti-tank squad has moved up the left-hand side. It's taken 2 casualties in the process, but they're still there, so they've got 2 pins at the moment. They've taken a bit of fire. Russian officer hiding behind the tank. It's not done anything this turn. Germans in the woods, they've taken shots at the Russians over there. Stug tried taking a shot at them but failed its pin test. The HMG, as mentioned before, got artillery striked, so it's on 3 pins. It wasn't able to fire this turn. Takes us through to the German section in the woods here, which has opened fire on the Pioneers and it's added another pin. Also the German light armoured car, the Adler armoured car, has also fired at the Pioneers in the woods has killed off 2 of them. So that squad's down to 6 men. It was originally 11. And it's got 3 pins. So I think it might be out of the game now. It depends on what it rolls for its pin test. And there are 2 squads of Russians that have taken up positions in buildings there on the far side. So the Germans have got a fairly strong central presence at the moment, but they've still got to get through to the objectives in the next 3 turns. So we'll see if they can make it there, or if the Russians will be able to hold them up long enough. Alright, start of turn 4. Okay, so we did a quick check of the artillery barrage, and unfortunately for the Russians, a 1 was rolled. So the Germans have shifted the artillery barrage onto these 2 units. So it's put 3 pins on the artillery piece, and it's killed one of the Russian pioneers and added another 3 pins to the unit. So that unit has 5 pins now, and the artillery piece has 3. So it's worked out rather well for the Germans. That takes us into turn 4. Alright. Okay, so turn 4 has started. There's been a bit of shooting. Russian squad on the far left has taken some casualties and some pins. Now it's at this point where the Russians have decided to concede. Unfortunately, because of the artillery strike, it's a bit tricky for them to continue. These units have too many pins to advance. The squad on the far side is 2 depleted and 2 pinned to resist at the moment. They do have some reserves that are off board at the moment. There's a unit of militia, but they're probably not going to be able to stop the German advance now. So I've decided to call it. A bit unfortunate for the Russians because they've been hit by their own artillery barrage 3 times, and that has swung it for the Germans. Yeah, I suppose a GG. Unfortunate with the artillery strike. Russians have said that they won't take the artillery observer in future matches. But yeah, so a contested battle, but a German win. And that'll take us into the next round of the campaign. Thanks again for watching, guys. Please do comment, view, and subscribe. And this will take us into the next turn of the campaign. The Germans will be heading up towards Kaunas and Vilnius, 2 of the big campaign targets. They won't be able to get there yet in the next battle, but probably 1 or 2 battles time, assuming they win. But I think it's going to be tough going from here on in. Alright, let's do one last pan over the battlefield. So you got the engineers and the anti-tank gun. You have the Russians in the house on the far side. Got the Germans in the center, so 3 squads of veterans with LMGs and SMGs and rifles. The unit half-track, which has 2 MMGs attached to it. The unit's a bit different. It's a French armoured carrier that the Germans used. Got the Adler armoured car, which is actually a SDK FZ222, which is sort of proxying as a Adler. And you've got the Stug. The Stug is actually a Stug, STUH, which has a heavy howitzer attached to it. It's not done too much this battle other than get shot at by the armoured car. And as you can see, the armoured car on the side for the Russians. Alright, hope you enjoyed viewing, guys, and we'll be back in the next battle.